meeting to order. At this point, we don't have any visitors' remarks, so the presentation and discuss of the 2022 Narciso Martinez Conjunto Festival. If you'd like to come up and give us some good information. Thanks for being here.
My on? There you go. Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners, City Attorney, and City Manager, and the public. My name is Rogelio Nunez, and I'm the Director of the Narciso Martinez Cultural Arts Center. And welcome to the new City Commissioners, and then the ones that are here already. So we just had in October, a couple of weeks ago, we had the 29th Annual Narciso Martinez Cultural Arts Center Conjunto Festival. So it was 3 days. Some of you I saw there. Mr. Macias, is that it? I didn't see you there, but you said you were there. So I don't get to see everybody. I try to, but it's kind of one of those things where you're moving around a lot. But anyway, just like to let you know that the event was successful. 3 days of conjunto music. We had 16 bands, plus the high school and the elementary school from Los Fresnos played. And that was a big winner because a lot of the parents and a lot of people that come in like to see those kinds of things happening. And the kids do well. Their directors are, again, working with these kids as much as they can. So I've given you a little report there that summarizes the things that we did. Like I said, again, people from outside the valley come into the event. We have a listing there from California, Iowa, Arizona, Illinois, Colorado, and Nebraska. These are folks who have been looking at this festival for years. They also do the one in San Antonio, which is the biggest one there is in the country. But they like to come down to our festival, and they made it again this year. They were new, many of them were new for the first time. But then the next piece there in terms of folks from Houston, they've been following us now for quite a bit. And we counted, at least from the survey we did, which is 849 people that we talked to as they walk into the event, with the help, again, of the Interact Club of Los Fresnos, which is very helpful. And we just ask them, where do you come from? Where do you stay? The idea is, again, those individuals are defined as cultural tourists. They're looking for an event for a weekend, and that's why we do the weekend. And they come in, they spend their money, they get a room. I did stay at the inn here in Los Fresnos, and there were quite a number of folks that were staying there. Of course, that fills up, and they have to then look outside of that. And Brownsville was one of the bigger places where they start to go to in terms of a place to stay. As cultural tourists, just for information, not only do they spend money at the festival, in Los Fresnos, in the restaurants, the Walmarts, etc., they also like to go around the valley and seeing things that the valley has in terms of, there's a great number that go to San Juan, to the shrine. Some people visit Brownsville, some people visit the island. There were some folks that stayed on the island that really enjoyed it. I mean, it was like a 3-day weekend that they didn't expect to have, where the weather was great. They were able to get in the water. There's a couple from Colorado that was like, wow, we'll come back if the island's available, because they don't know about the island. So those things are critical. The other thing that we have there in terms of media outreach, I'm wearing the T-shirt that was official. Every time I wear the T-shirt, of course, some becomes a walking billboard. We have the city of Los Fresnos on the back, the logo, which is part of what we do to give more attention to the city of Los Fresnos. And just by the way, I was at the Birding Festival, not at the exhibition that they have there at the Harlingen Convention Center, and your booth was there. I forget, right. Well, yeah, I saw Brianna. Yeah, and again, Los Fresnos was there. I mean, you all are catching up or moving along with your birding world, with your trail and so forth. So that's good. I mean, you're bringing in folks into town, and that birding event brings in a lot of people from different parts of the world. We did have, again, a lot of media coverage. Some of it we paid for, some of it was free. We were able to get the Valley Morning Star to put us on the front page of the Sunday before the event, a full-blown picture and story on the festival, but that the ones that were featured were Max Baca and the Tex Maniacs, which was our last band on Sunday night. Again, we made 185 T-shirts. We do put up the banners. Our Facebook traffic is increased tremendously. Those are the kinds of things that we need to look at, and hopefully, I'm working on that, as to how to get that traffic that flows through there. I've included a page there on your report about one evening. The event for 3 days was live streamed from the beginning till the end. My daughter helped with that. She live streamed every band. They started, they ended, she turned it off, they start, so that whole thing is on Facebook live stream, which I'm not all that familiar with, but I'm getting to know more, but she did it. There are people, so that's one night, the second night of the Conjunto Festival, the people it reads, the engagement, the new likes, the new page followers. So they're still posting, just after 3 weeks, now they're still posting things from the festival, and that's, again, important because it gives the festival publicity. The key is, how do we get those folks to come to Los Fresnos, which again is always, how do you engage them to come in? And it's a word of mouth, a lot of it, and things are going to happen, and it will happen. Again, like I said, the Houston folks were the sort of the city that came in with more folks, Dallas, Fort Worth, Brownsville, Los Fresnos, San Benito, Harlingen. And so the idea is, how do we get, we estimate more or less about 2,100 people showed up for the 3 days. Again, it's still one of those events. This would be their 5th year working with the city of Los Fresnos. We did cancel 2020 because of COVID, but we're already working towards, and again, I already talked to Val in terms of the Chamber of Commerce. We'll be coming up to visit with you all and see how we can brainstorm about 2023, which again, I think we're about to set the date, which would be the first weekend of October. So we'll start with a save the date, publicity around that. And again, hopefully, we might, and just for information, we might go to 2 days, do something Thursday evening maybe as a smaller moment, but do 2 days from the cost benefit. Our Sundays have always been a slower day. That means then cost for us to put the bands. It means cost for the city to bring the public works and the law enforcement and so forth. But I think 2 days will work. We've done one time 2 days and it did real well. We went 3 days this time to see where things were at. But as we do the numbers in terms of cost, because that's 5 more bands on Sunday, that's another all these hours that the police department has to put in, the public works has to put in, and so forth. So, but we'll work with that. But I think we'll be back. I mean, and hopefully, we'll have another successful event. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer anything, any comments, any thoughts, any ideas. Definitely. I said, just to, as they say, to Luis, whose Interact Club, I was kind of blown out of the water when we got the invitation to go talk to them. I expected maybe 5, 6 kids to talk to. We had 125 folks sitting there. And then, of course, was able to put over 25 volunteers, which are very helpful. They can move around the magazine, they can move around the T-shirts, they can move around the tickets when they have in the raffles. And it's good for the kids and it's good for us, So Dr. De Leon, who's been with us since the beginning, who's a native of Laureles, again, was gracious enough to bring us a 9-seater golf cart, which again was able to bring folks in from the parking lot at the Los Fresnos High School to the festival and back, which I think is very helpful. And I think we'll probably maybe get 2 this coming year, if everything goes well. And I say everything goes well because we're getting older. Okay, I want to remind everybody that I'm going to turn 71 next couple of weeks. So we're not, but we're still good. We're hanging in. With your help, with your support, and your graciousness, I think we'll be able to get back here in October. So anything else? If not, we depart for the evening. Hopefully.
Well, it was a great event. We enjoyed it. It was great to see everybody out there. I saw the excitement, the people. I met a couple of people from New Mexico or Arizona or somewhere in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And so it was just good to interact with so many different people. The high school band definitely did a great job. I was very impressed by the kids that were singing. And Luis's Interact group was incredible, driving, picking people up, bringing them up. I thought everybody had nothing but positive comments about the entire event.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for the opportunity to assist in the festivities. More importantly, the kids, right? They got to see what it takes to put it on from the background, and that's what it's all about, right? And give this knowledge to these to a younger generation. So thank you for allowing us to be there.
Okay. We'll see you soon. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to consent agenda items. On these, if there's any consent agenda items from 1 through 8 that any of the board or the council would like to set aside at this time, please let us know. If there's no consent agenda item to set aside at this time, if there's a motion to be made.
Mayor, I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda as
Okay.
stated.
So that's a motion by Commissioner Macias to approve all consent agenda items 1 through 8, is that correct?
That's correct.
Great, motion has been made. Oh, Munoz, you second that? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Motion has been made by Commissioner Munoz and made by Commissioner Macias and seconded by Commissioner Munoz. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries.
I'll abstain, Jackie.
Okay, so we have one abstain. I didn't get your vote, Terry Vinson? Okay, just want to make sure. I did. Oh. Okay, so normally what we do is we'll go through the consent agenda items, and if there's one that you have questions on, we set it aside, and then we go to and make a motion on that. Therefore. Moving on to action item.
I said I was in a hurry to get here. I had a class starting tonight.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to action item number 1. Consideration and action to approve the first and second reading of an ordinance by the City Council of Los Fresnos, Texas, ratifying, confirming, and validating certain action items taken by the City Council at their November 8th, 2022 meeting. As further described herein, including approval of bond counsel, approval of financial advisor, approval of engineer, approval of issuance of Los Fresnos, Texas, combination tax and subordinate lien revenue certificate of obligation, Series 2022 Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and the levying of an annual ad valorem tax within the limited prescribed by law upon all taxable property in the city for the payment of the bond, further securing said certificates by a subordinate and inferior lien on a pledge of the next revenue of the system on a parity with certain currently outstanding subordinate lien obligations, and approval of a principal forgiveness agreement and other matters in connection therewith. Mark, is there anything you'd like to elaborate on this?
I can summarize because there's a lot of stuff in
Lot of
there,
word.
and for the two new folks, we've been working on a loan and grant package from Texas Water Development Board on some drainage projects, and we were able to get a loan for $860,000 at 0% interest. The payment is $45,000 a year. We'll work that in the regular budget. Won't be any new taxes on that. We also were awarded a grant. They call it loan forgiveness. They won't call it a grant, for $843,704. So it's a total of about $1.6 million to do those. There's 4 drainage projects. One of them's Resaca Escondida drainage, which is right by the nature park, south of the high school. Whipple Road, along Whipple Road, and Valle Alto subdivision, where it's closer to the irrigation canal where we had some flooding a few years back. So, and then an overall drainage plan for the whole city. We have a lot of parts. We've got some that we do, some that TxDOT does, some that Cameron County Irrigation District number 1, or Drainage District number 1 does. So there's a lot of people, and so the drainage study will put all that together in one map, and who owns what and who's supposed to do what, and then show us where weaknesses are so that we can then plan for future. So that's what the project does. The reason why for the ratifying, confirming what was done on last Tuesday, we're a 6-person council. Takes 4 for a quorum. Because Polo's spot had been vacated, we became a 5 council, and so that only takes 3 for a quorum. The people with Texas Water Development Board and our bond council wants to be double sure that we're covered and there's no question, and so that's why they're asking you to ratify those things tonight. So I'm open for any questions.
Is there any questions from the council at this time?
$1,600,000?
1.6 something, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
and then we're responsible only for 80.
860 is,
Yeah,
is the
860.
loan amount, yes,
That's
sir.
what we'd be responsible, okay.
Correct.
It was 0%, which,
0%, yes, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's a no-brainer. Thank you.
any questions from any of the council, or if not, there's a motion to be made? At this time would be, make a motion. Okay, motion has been made by.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose, do the same. Motion carries. Moving on to action item number 2. Consideration and action to approve a service agreement with the University of Texas Health Science Center. Mark, any elaboration on this healthcare?
No, they were going to be here to present, but had a last-minute problem with scheduling, so the only reason why we had it on the agenda is so that they could present. They'll present it another time. It's our health program that's funded through UT Health, $60,000 a year, and it's been the same for about 4 years. Before that, it was a little bit more because they had some money in there for what they call environmental change, but they no longer have that. So it's just a continuation of a program, and you actually approve this with the budget back in the summer.
This is what pays for Christine, right? For
Correct.
Christine's
Correct.
opportunity?
Hey, Mark, I had a question for you on this, because back at, where do they have it here in town? I know that they're supposed to have some classes, nutrition and cooking and so forth.
All over the place. I'll get you a schedule. They put that schedule out monthly. A lot of them take place at Memorial Park. Sometimes they have the kitchen cooking classes is one time a year, and it's over several months. They hold that different places as well, use some private places, but also our community center. They do a diabetes program that's several months long, and identify people and invite people. So it's really all of quite a bit of places. Some at community park, some at the pool, and so.
They do
That
Zumba
answer?
classes. They also partner with El Consulado, where they do special presentations, that it's classes at every week about different topics of.
So the Zumba classes that are at Memorial Park, is that part of this grant?
Yes.
Yes. We got about, this time of year, we don't have any of the aquatic classes, so it drops down, but usually 26, 27 classes a week. So quite a few classes with this program. In addition to that y'all will never see because it's not the fun part with the classes and the instruction, she does, she has to, part of the contract says, you have to identify 200 and some odd people and go through them throughout the year with working with them on eating habits, all of those things, taking blood pressure, getting all things to getting healthy. So that's not something that you ever see because that's behind the scenes and with each individual. But the classes are part of getting them to do something to be healthy.
Yeah, I've been following them even before I was a mayor, and I've seen some people lose so much weight, and they've done so much of a healthier lifestyle because of that program that she's in. So kudos to her for always being out there and promoting a good, healthy living. I think the program is awesome.
I'll get with y'all and then answer any questions on what we're doing.
So according to you, you say that 60,000, for the 60,000, she has to have 265 people, so that's what she's got, 265 people in there, no?
Yeah, over the year, doesn't have them now. It's something that we work on over the year. She goes to schools, she goes to different events and recruits folks that need to be a part of the program. So, yeah.
So they can be counted like in groups, like she was saying, and go check the pressure and all that stuff, they consider they're included in the 265 people?
It's not that simple. There's a lot of criteria of who can get in that part of the program, because they don't take someone that's healthy. They take someone that has either high blood pressure, a sugar problem, a weight problem. There's a lot of criteria on that part of it. Anybody can attend the classes that wants to, but those 200 and so folks they have to meet a special criteria, and we keep telling them it's getting harder and harder to find those people because the program's 7, 8 years old. Brownsville's got 200,000 people. You can find 200 and some odd people. Here, because of we got a little smaller area, it becomes more difficult, but Christine does very well in finding those people, and we take a lot of recommendations from referrals from other people and other groups. So,
Yeah, good. I'm basing my questions on the charter that you put on the paperwork, because they say if 75% is 199 and 50% 133, then it goes down to 45,000, 30,000. That's why I'm asking you that question.
yeah, we always meet the criteria so that we can maximize the amount we receive. We've never gone short.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board at this time? If not, if there's a motion to be made,
Make a motion to accept consideration for a service agreement with the University of Texas Health System.
okay, motion has been made. Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Consideration and action to accept the petition for annexation by landowner for a 17.238 acre tract of land located on the northwest side of the city of Los Fresnos, and set a date and time for a public hearing. Mark, any details on this property?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is on FM 803 between Henderson Road and between Whipple Road and Henderson Road. As you go north, it's on the west side. It's contiguous to our city limits. It's going to be about 23 larger lots, pretty good size homes. All this is the first step. They request annexation, and if you accept a request, then we have public hearings and talk about all the many details that are required for annexation. So this isn't actually saying that we will annex them, it's saying that we will consider it. And then Jackie has some notices to do and public notices to send out. And then we'll have public hearings and then start the process. And then see where that leads us and what your wishes
So this is
are.
just to open the public hearing, doesn't have to do anything else about regulations and anything that has to be followed on that. It's just to approve the agreement, right? Just to approve it, to open it for,
All you're doing is approving the request.
Any questions about action item number 3 from any of the council?
I make a motion that we approve the petition for the annexation land to have a public hearing.
A A motion has been made.
I'll second.
A motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Approval or rejection of Resolution 11, 2022, adopting a comprehensive policy of guidelines and criteria for governing tax abatement within the city of Los Fresnos and its extraterritorial jurisdiction. Sorry, I'm thinking aliens here.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is a policy that is approved every 2 years. It was here before I got here. It's a good policy. What it does is is to help businesses when they want to develop here. The only thing is we looked at the numbers. These numbers that were originally approved in this were done back in the late 90s. So we're in 2022. And so we're recommending that we just change the values a little bit because of the cost of construction is so high. And if you'll see on that column on page page 80, we recommend that first column be 100 to 249,000. Before it was just 50 and up. The second column, 250, 499, and you'll see that we go up $250,000 until it gets to the last one, and then it's $1 million and up. One of the things to note that is this isn't a requirement as far as is a policy, as a guideline. If someone asks to have a tax abatement on their property, they petition it. It goes to our Community Development Board to discuss and analyze, and then it comes here to you for approval. Because we have this guideline, it's not a guarantee because every development is different. Some you might want to do this because of a certain reason. Some you might say, no, I don't think that we should do that for other reasons. This just develops a guideline that we use for, to show folks what can be possibly out there. A lot of people don't use it because the businesses they say, hey, we're a business, we're a partner in the community, so we're going to pay the taxes. There's only a few that through the years that have utilized this.
Any questions from the council at this time?
Hey, Mark, I have a question for you on this abatement for the taxes. Is this citywide, or is there an area of the city where one may be more prudent to get in a tax break if they built in one area of town or developed one area of the business in the community where maybe we need it more? Or is it citywide?
It could be anywhere in the city on commercial. It's not for residential. It's for commercial development. Some places, I give you an example. When Walmart came, they didn't take any tax abatements. We did what they call a 380 agreement with them. And this agreement where we didn't have water and sewer there. And so we brought water and sewer there and we put in a street. We pledged against that, the note, sales tax numbers for the first. They based on their numbers, it would take 5 years to recoup. Walmart did very, very well, and we paid it off in 2.5, almost 2 3/4 years. So what it did was we didn't have that tax money, and so we got to use that tax money, half of it at first, to pay that debt, and then the other half we got to use for the city funds, and then after it was paid off, of course, we get 100%. So in that case, that's one of those that because you were helping over here, there was no reason to give the property tax abatement. Does that make sense? So that's why I said each one kind of has to be looked at as the need arises for that particular business, and what their needs are. Other businesses, we've helped through our Community Development Corporation extend gas lines, extend electrical lines to, not to the inside the building, but to the property, to help businesses, attract businesses to come and decide to come here.
Mark, these ratios on the 100 to 250, and as it moves up, did we get this from kind of other areas?
Yeah, we looked at some others and just kind of looked at some what made sense, and also kind of a little more consistent.
And it's
throughout.
worked for us?
Yeah.
Any other questions from the council at this time? If not, there's a motion to be made.
I'll go ahead and motion for the consideration of the tax abatement.
Okay, motion has been made by Commissioner Macias.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
The motion has been seconded by Commissioner Gonzalez. With that said, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Presentation and discussion on the history of annexations in Los Fresnos and the surrounding communities and the current annexation laws. Okay, we'll go ahead and pass that. Acknowledgement of city managers' reports. Any questions or comments? These are reports that, any kind of pending project or projects that we got going on. Is there any questions from the council about any of the projects that, oh, go ahead, Mark.
Just wanted to mention to Terry and Joe, I'll be glad to meet with you on each one of these because we can go into more detail so that you kind of get a feel for where we're going on those. Of course, anytime you have questions, it's fine, even tonight. But I can sit down with you and go through what it all means. For everybody that, because I didn't have this, Dale, if you'll put that video up on the screen, I want to show y'all. It'll be up here for us, but for y'all, it'll be on your computer there. It's the expansion of the drainage ditch that they're doing from Highway 100 to the south. It's just a drone video. You can see where they cleaned out the east side of the ditch. They'll flip over and do the west side. But it, in a few minutes or a few seconds here, you'll be able to see where it widens up after the back of the rodeo grounds. And what that'll do is just add tremendous capacity so that when we have these big, large rains, 8th, 9th, 10th, and Alvarez Court don't get flooded. See the difference? It's huge. It's 4 to 6 feet. It doesn't look big, but it's 4 to 6 feet on the bottom and way more than that at the top as it fans out. The T there to the right goes to 1847, and that whole ditch between Alvarez Court and 10th Street will be widened as well. But you can see that it is that 4 to 6, 8 feet at the bottom and greater at the top will add a huge amount of capacity, and that's what we need. We don't have really a problem draining. It drains. It's just when it's all at one time, there's only so much that can go. So you can see that one has already been done and already widened. A developer was required to do that. If you'll recall, a few months ago, the engineer from Drainage District 1 came and showed how developers have to increase detention, and this is a way to increase detention, and so that's another thing that we've done. So we're really excited about this piece. I never want to get too much rain, but I'm almost excited to get a lot of rain to see. Actually, I want to finish from the T back down to 1847 between 10th Street and Alvarez Court, so that we can see the amount of capacity increase that it is. It'll be pretty phenomenal increase in the amount. So the other drainage projects, now that everything's approved, I think the loan will close the 1st of December. So you had already paid for engineering on 2 of the projects, so they'll get those bid pretty quick and get some of these things done so that when it rains, we'll be ready.
Mark, will that cover the other side of town by 803?
Does not do anything over there. That's
a District 1?
it's still Drainage District 1. I'm working with them and a developer that's actually developing to the south, which is Brownsville. That's a whole different a drainage artery. If you've ever gone down not 803, you've gone down past you, Terry. What's that road? California Road. Once you pass the canal, you'll notice on the right there's a ditch, but it's all covered over with brush. It's never been established. Nobody owns it. It's part of the road right away. County doesn't claim it. District doesn't claim it. It's not even in our city limits, so we can't claim it. And then it comes there and it turns underneath California Road and goes in front of and behind people's homes. Once again, there's no dedicated right of way for anybody to have even the rights to get on there to clean it. So I'm working with another developer to change all that drainage from California Crossing, from Paseo Drive, which is right behind you, that the entrance of it floods. It goes back, gets pretty deep. It doesn't stay long, but when it rains, it does. I had a lot of experience. My son used to live on that street, but so that we can drain it a different way use a developer to donate the right of way, because he needs to drain his, and then we participate to get it drained into the ditch that's just a little bit to the east of that area that's already maintained by Cameron County Drainage District Number 1. So this doesn't do it, but we're working on the.
Hey, Mark, on this one that they excavated here, earlier you spoke about the Resaca Escondida and one on Whipple Road. Do they tie into this one eventually?
Yes, the Resaca Escondida does, and what's going to happen there is we'll have a gate that we will. If you've ever been around, whenever all the water comes in, we want it to come in there and hold. As soon as the rain quits stopping, that ditch gets empty pretty quick. And so as it gets empty pretty quick, we'll open a valve and start draining that off. What we've had to do before is we've now purchased pumps to pump it, but before that we had to rent pumps and pump, and it takes a week, 2 weeks, because you're only doing so much at a time. So it's a good point to bring up. It won't become a problem with those ditches, because we want it to hold, and as it drains, it keeps draining and keeps filling up over a period of days. By that time, we will be draining it out, and it won't cause the flood over 1847. And got into a couple of basements, which, basements aren't very popular here because of that. that are along on East Resaca Drive. Never have gotten any houses except the basement, but it should resolve all of that issue. The other project that I talked about was Valle Alto and Henderson Whipple Road, and that drains all through, comes out by O'Reilly's and goes across to the south. And so that's all of that project, and they will have larger detention, increase that ditch now that the irrigation canal is underground. We've got the rights to make that ditch there wider, and so that hasn't been designed and engineered yet, so that's something that Hanson Professional Services will be working on. Yes, sir.
North side, they never did anything with the south side.
Yeah, because the south side is a different owner, and
Yeah,
that's,
understand.
it gets then confusing
Yeah.
because it's they call it a seepage ditch irrigation district number 6, and they say we're not cleaning it because we don't do drainage, but yet we use drainage, so that'll be part, we'll
That'll be part
include
of it.
that part of it, because right after that, the canal comes and Drainage District 1 takes over the rest of it. So that will be included.
I was looking at the pictures there, but I was trying to see because I could see that pipe you were talking about, the big pipe for that water and sewer. I mean, for the water to go out, that we were gonna try to change it on 10th Street. Then we were talking about that we were gonna make some bigger pipes on there, that we were gonna connect it to a bigger pipe. Where's that pipe at?
I'm
Eighth
not
Street or
sure,
Seventh
I'm not
Street?
sure what you're talking about. We're not doing any piping. That's where it comes under 100 there. So I'm not sure what you're asking. There was some wastewater, a wastewater project, which is under A, that, that deals with the problem on 10th Street with the sewage backup. We were going to reroute that sewer line, and that contract has been let. They just, nobody can get manhole. And you have to have a manhole where it's going to go. They're backlogged as much as 6 months. So as soon as that gets in, that might be what you were talking about, because it's that line will then go into a large sewer line, and then we won't have the backup on 10th Street that we have. And also, if you don't have as much water on it, it also helps too. So they'll all kind of work together.
On something like this, like the picture that we're seeing right now, is it required for us to put some kind of protection on there on the big pipe in case they have a lot of pressure going through it and maybe take somebody? It's not required by state, huh? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions at this time on acknowledgement of city manager reports? If not, if there's a motion to be made.
Just on Whipple Road, there, Mark, says we're getting ready possibly to expand or add another center lane, or add that center lane. Is that what it's working on? The engineers from CCRMA?
Well, thank you. Half, they stopped using half because they were too expensive. There's another engineering firm working on that. But yes, it's still in the progress. We hope to, by the end of, can't remember when they said they would have it.
So they're
It was
just changing.
summertime when we discussed that, in about a year.
So they're just changing the engineers.
Correct. They did that about the time we were discussing it.
Based
And
there
for
was a
Terry and Jose, that's Whipple Road. We want it to look like Evergreen Street, basically. A lot of traffic goes there, Walmart to the south, to the north, and we want that traffic to go there and go safely, because then it gets more traffic off of 100 and that goes to Morales and all of that area to the north.
You said there were some issues there, right, with the, closer to 1575, there's some stuff that runs under there that's pretty delicate?
Yes, sir. A lot of that right-of-way is only 60 feet. Most of our right-of-way in the city limits is 80. Some of that is 60, and so putting all of that stuff in 60 feet is tough. We'll have to do some drainage, underground drainage, which drives the cost up. But they're working on it.
And part of the petition to annex, does that include that property that runs right there all the way to 1575? No, right? No.
No, it's 803.
My bad.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions in regards to city manager's reports? If not, there's a motion to be made.
I'll make a motion to approve the city manager's report.
Motion has been made
I'll second that.
and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. On the acknowledgement of department head reports, we have a total of 6 reports. Is there any report that anybody would like to go to? If not, we can motion all 6 reports.
Once again, I'll get with both you guys if you have time and review all those. Some of them you might recognize, especially police probably, but the others.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we acknowledge 1 through 6 from the department head reports.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. The time is 7:03. We'll go ahead and close the session and enter a closed session. So go ahead and move to closed session at 7:03. Okay, we'll go ahead and open the meeting back up at 8:03. Open session in accordance with Section 551071, the Texas Open Meetings Act, deliberation and possible action regarding consulting with attorney or pending and contemplated litigation. Moving back to action item number 5, presentation and discussion of the history of annexation of Los Fresnos and the surrounding communities and the current annexation laws. We'll go ahead and take no action. We don't need to vote for that one, right, for taking no action? All righty, with that said, the meeting will be adjourned at 8:04. Thank you and have a good evening.